that we have. We are very privileged to have him, and we welcome Professor Jagmohan for coming here. And we would request him to speak on the topic that he's scheduled to speak on, which is sedition, law and freedom, Bhagat Singh's point of view. As we know, Professor Jagmohan is also Bhagat Singh's nephew, but that's not his only qualification. He is also the founder of many human rights groups, and he has been a professor at an agricultural university. We request Professor Jagmohan to come and speak to the students.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all of you. Actually, this is my attempt to have a deep solidarity with all of you who are struggling. And then it provoked me because I'm an extended student of JNU, in a sense that my mother used to say that to be relative is to know about him. That if you want to be relative of Bhagat Singh, you must know about him. I started knowing, and then I got in touch with Vipin Chandraji. So we made this research committee in 1978, and then he taught me how to rediscover Bhagat Singh, not only what he has written, but what has been around him, what has been provoking him to do some of the writings which he did. So in that way, I have great learning from this campus, which has helped me to understand Bhagat Singh and his comrades and the whole freedom movement. So it is a social duty which I have been doing. So I am an engineer, I have been trained for that, but being a social responsibility, I try to understand Bhagat Singh and his colleagues and then the whole freedom struggle. So the issue which is now very forward, that why somebody is put into sedition, and I asked that question to Bhagat Singh, that what do you think? And interestingly, he has 2 articles written in his time about why there is a conspiracy and why this sedition law is activated and what are the solutions to the problem. And I think that's a very interesting thing which he makes in. But before we come to the whole freedom struggle, there are few landmarks of seditious laws or the laws which were for suppression. I would just like to draw your attention to that. That is in 1757, a small part, the Odisha, Bihar and Bengal came into, was virtually handed over to the East India Company. And an interesting episode is that the 3 first officers of the East India Company were charged for accumulating more money than they were required to do. And in that, Clive said, "You must award me for winning over the heaven of the world." That this small area which East India Company took was a heaven of the world. And how did it happen? And he said, why it is heaven? Because the agriculture is so good that the whole of India can be fed with the product of this area. And the handicraft is so good that people bring their sandook or their suitcase full with gold and silver and take away the handicraft from here. But then the question came, why after 12 years of East India Company, the worst famine took place? That was in 1797-70. Even now Bengal in its songs remember that. So then I found that there is a small change which was made, and this is also the answer to those who say that there is a continuity of foreign rule and there is a demarcated change which was brought by the East India Company, that one policy can make people hungry, they can make people poor. And that was that prior to 1757, the state had a share of the produce. And even I was talking to some of them, I have just come from the other side of the world of India, which may be called Bharat or something. And I've only remembered that I'm back to my 60 years when I saw my village 60 years back that still exists just 10 kilometers from the GT road, the national road which is being built. And why it is so? So that is that one law change that no, we don't want your produce, we have nothing to do with your production, we have only to get the money. So that change made people poor and the whole destruction of the process took place. So then this followed up to 1857. And my grandchild, who is studying in USA, sent me a question that there were two colonies of the British, India and America. I have seen on the internet that there are some pictures of hungry people, because these were the pictures taken in 1890 to 1900. In 10 years, there was such a big famine, about which there is a famous letter written by Dr. Tarknath Das to Leo Tolstoy, that your war and peace is very good, but sometimes talk about Indian condition where 1 crore 90 lakh people have been died because of famines. So he said that what did happen? So that was the question. He said that I don't want to listen to you. Show me the authorities, because he is a American child of 5th class and he wants to make a poster. So then I told him that this change is because of that. And in 76, the free trade was introduced. America got its freedom against the free trade. Maybe the whole history I don't need to repeat. But the same part is the same area which got independence in America was same part which was went into the slavery here. So that was a continuity. And then the first law, because for many years East India Company was not allowed free trade in India. There has been a lot of, those who read history, there is a lot of things. But what happened? In 1818, there was a special law made before they could start free trade in India, and that was called Bengal Regulation 3 of 1880. What was happening in 1818? Was because they were not able to do free trade, and the share which was going to the whole from the queen down to the every minister was not becoming profitable. So that was, and that has been used provocatively to everybody who was, and that law meant everybody or anybody who you think is capable of thinking or raising a question should be thrown out, and then you can have free trade. But unfortunately, free trade has its own free making people. So in 1857, this is a 39-year period that 1857 took place. And after 1857, if you remember, on 1st November 1858, a declaration of the Victoria was made, where it was said that Indian citizens are my equal citizens as British citizens, so they will have the whole rights. And if you know it, the Dadabhai Naroji has been writing reports to the House of Commons, and it starts with un-British-like rule and making of poverty. So why this un-British-like rule? And it starts with that declaration that you gave us the equal right, but they were never given to us. And it started, and the poverty is being produced by that. Another seminal work done in that post, that is, actually 1857 was the end of the East India Company and start of the direct British rule. So the second part work done was by Ramesh Chunder Dutt, which is against farming, that why farmers are poor. So these were the two questions which were being raised, and the first thing which happened, because recently we were working on, that in 1897, the first time, and the press, this law was introduced that those who write in the press will be punished. And there are two persons, Lokmanya Tilak is punished for 18 months, and Sufi Amba Prashad, one journalist from Muradabad, was also punished for 18 months for writing. So that is when it starts.
Very fundamental
So
question.
going on with that, the sedition virtually came in 1919 when the Royal Act came, and it was told that you have no dalil, no vakil, no appeal. And that was the transformation of the Indian freedom struggle into the next part. Now, Bhagat Singh writing on this is a very clear one. He says that why do this sedition is wanted? And he writes that the government has a kind of notion that people are just having a habit of raising issues and they have to be taught some lesson, and that is why they have to be silenced. And there is an interesting story about Mazzini, one of the philosophers of Italy, that first time when he was arrested, he was a young man, his mother said, "You are such a good boy. Why they have come to arrest you?" He said, "Mother, you know that I don't sleep because the people of the problem always irritate me and I am always bothered about that, and because of that they want to take me to silence me." So that is where Bhagat Singh has another point to make. He said that actually when you're struggling against two things, the slavery and the poverty. The slavery, even if goes away, your struggle for poverty goes on, and there are conscious people who are constantly worried about their people's condition, about their poverty, and they raise some odd questions to which the government doesn't have the answer. And when they don't have the answer, they come up with this. And there is a very interesting character which he rewrites in his jail notebook also, and that is from a novel called Iron Heel. It is a novel written by Jack London, and there is a episode that its hero charges the government that you say you are trustee. If you are trustee, then all this poverty, all this misery of the people is because you have not carried their trust. And that answer, he questions them. They call him their assembly. He says, "This is my question." There are many people try to answer it, and when he says that this is not the answer. You should tell me why people are suffering because of mistrust. And then one gentleman comes out with a big nostril. He pulls his revolver and puts him. He says, "This is what you have. When you don't have the answer to the argument, you pull up your pistol." That was one of the things which he took it. And the next was that he himself, actually when he came to that is now I think what is happening is, because this JNU, as like we have come from the rural background, and you still go back to your parents, because I think they thought you have been brought to Delhi, why you are not absorbed in the Delhi's market? Because you still talk about those people from where you have come. And that answer they don't have. And I think one statistic will make it very clear. There are two things. One is the one World Bank analysis was long back, that the market here is only run by 20% people. The rest of 35% people are without participation in the market, and then further 45% people are only participating in 7 days. And then you see that this, and there was very interesting Arjun Sen Gupta's one line that 77% people live below 20 rupees. So this type of situation, and now the report which has come up from Oxford is that on the basis of 2006 statistics, there are 36 crore people who are deprivated. Is a deprivation, not poverty. And deprivation, one of the parameters of deprivation is malnutrition, and one family member has died and another may be on line to death. So this type of situation is there, and which when you raise this question, I think the solution is only answer with them. But at the same time, well, we have to face it, what Bhagat Singh said, when he appeared with his comrade B.K. Dutt in the assembly, he said, we are serious student of Indian history, Indian people's condition, and their aspirations. So I think this is what makes Bhagat Singh. Another very important point in this whole debate which has come up is demystification of Bhagat Singh. They are trying to mystify him. There are so many students who just think Bhagat Singh is, by tying a turban like him, you become Bhagat Singh, which is a tragedy. Bhagat Singh himself said that until you are a thinkable person, until you think about the conditions of the people and you come forward with a issue which removes that conditions, it will not be done. So that way, the most important part in this whole debate is, well, another point which I came to my mind, because you started with the issue which was really, now there was yesterday a statement that reservation will go, but we will not allow you to read. Because when your scholarships are withdrawn, even those who are Dalit students, their scholarships are not being delivered to them. This is what Rohith Vemula virtually is a martyr of. And finally he gives that verdict that the government still owe me 1,25,000 rupees. Do charge it from him. So that is, they give you, they take the ground out of your feet and then they say, rise up as you can. So this is another thing which is now being recently, is a whole distortion of issues. So I think we have to fight it out, and Bhagat Singh has given us that strength. And the third last thing which I want to say is, to understand Bhagat Singh is, when he went to this Central Assembly, he went with three issues in his mind. And he said that one slogan, if this is understood by the people, I think my price of my life will be returned. And that total, because sometimes people say it is two slogans, I think it's a dialectical relationship of one slogan, and that is down, down with imperialism, long live revolution. So the revolution and imperialism, they are dialectically related. And the most interesting part of this is that this very slogan was further raised by Subhash. In 19th March 1940, there was a parallel Congress, because he was thrown out of the Congress. There was a parallel Congress of peasants, about 1 lakh people at the Ramgarh, which is close to Ranchi. And he said that no compromise with imperialism. So down with imperialism to no compromise with imperialism is how the freedom struggle moved. And then it came to some questions which were to be answered. The second thing he said was that personal, because this complete independence had started in discussion in Madras Congress in 1926. It was repeatedly coming till it was finally resolved in 1929, and 26th January 1930 became complete Independence Day. And you do read the oath which was written for 26th January 1930 by Mahatma Gandhi. If you don't have, I can give you the copy. It's worth reading. What was the promise made in complete independence? Then Bhagat Singh said the personal, individual freedom, without individual freedom, complete independence cannot have. And that is why he opposed personal, that one law, which was called Public Safety Bill. In the name of public safety, it was withdrawal of individual liberty. And then he said that if people's participation is to be assured, it cannot be had without right of association. And the third bill which was being addressed at that time was the Trade Dispute Bill. And that was withdrawal of collective representation or collective right of association, which is now even a part of Human Rights Charter. So these were the three issues which virtually he raised, and he wanted to lay his life on those, because the rest of the things were different matters. So it is there that still today people do invoke Bhagat Singh, because even now BJP is trying that no, we will celebrate it. But my question is, what is hindering them to name a promised airport I would like to say, why? Because those who we are not taking our decisions, we are not sovereign to that extent. Our decisions are being taken by somebody else. In absentia, either in Nagpur or somewhere in the world imperial force. And that is when those who have to give us the loan, they understand Bhagat Singh better because they cannot befool themselves. So they don't want to lend money for airport in the name of Bhagat Singh. But our leaders don't have the courage to tell us that please don't ask us because we can't do it, because we can't even name our own, because this is not our institution. And I already said that even if it is the airport is in Bhagat Singh's name, it is not Bhagat Singh's airport. He never wanted an airport. He wanted the even farmer to get his strength and to give farmer the strength. And now they are becoming very eager to appease the farmers. I think they are deceiving the farmers. Have anybody asked them what you have surrendered about the farmers' right in the WTO Nairobi? In ministers' meeting, they have already surrendered the rights, and now they want to become as if they are the persons who are supporting the farmers. They are not. So this is, and then I always raise a question to myself, why always when a leader gives a statement, he gives of 10 years ahead, not of 5 years? Because 5 years is accountability. He say, give me another term, I will let you know what it is. So that is why 2020 is more important than these next 3 years. So these are some of the questions, and because not prolonging it, we can discuss it. I have a lot more to discuss about Bhagat Singh to share with you, so that you are invoked with the spirit I was invoked from the JNU to go deeper into it, raise the fundamental questions, and then see why Bhagat Singh is writing his political program on 2nd February 1931. Because he writes about, because on 26th January 1931, Mahatma Gandhi is released from the jail and a kind of compromise is in the talk, and Bhagat Singh immediately in a week puts his thesis down, and that thesis becomes the part of the next movement which was led by Subhash. There is a now historical connection with that. So the sedition is a only last resort which the government, when it has not been able to answer those right questions. But our right is to raise the right question. The last thing I want to invoke you is that there was a debate sometimes, maybe you were there or I was there, when we used to ask for our fundamental rights in the Constitution, they say you don't talk about duties. First talk about your duties. We said, okay. Then now you know that our Constitution has 11 fundamental duties of a citizen. Have you ever read that? 51A. Now is the time to invoke that. I invoked it a number of times. I was also charged with sedition when I published the report of Delhi, so-called riots of 84 in Punjab, and then they charged me with sedition. I said, welcome. But I have my fundamental duty to perform, and for my fundamental duty, let us discuss. Bring your court or anybody. I'm ready to discuss on the fundamental duty. And what are those fundamental duties? The first thing is people came here and put a flag. They say now India is winning. Then I asked my friend in Nagpur that please go and confirm, is RSS headquarters having the Tiranga agenda? No. It is not. Exactly. It is a shameful thing. You are invoking it to everybody, but you are not doing it. And then he said that there is a ground in which every morning they have a shaka. They don't have a Tiranga here. So they don't go to Tiranga, but they want the whole of, and this is only like Ashwamedh Yag. You understand what Ashwamedh Yag is? They used to send a horse, and if you surrender to the horse, you have surrendered it. And if you don't surrender it, then you fight it. So virtually they are imposing. And they rightly said But we have a free will people, and this is where Tagore said, lead my country where the peoples are without fear, the mind is without fear, and head is held high, and the knowledge is free. So this is the India which was ever conceived. And now in fundamental duties, I will just mention it, and do please read it and invoke it. And the first fundamental duty is the preamble. Along with flag and national anthem, this is the trio which makes the ideal. So whenever I said that now I am going to do it, wherever they put the flag, I will put a big preamble there. Yes. Because the preamble values, they don't agree with. They don't agree with the socialism, they don't agree with the equality, they don't agree with the all those values of which are there. Then the second part is that whatever the values for which the freedom struggle was fought have to be upheld by every Indian. What we are doing? We are trying to uphold those values. And if there is a need to talk about that, let somebody come with me or with you. That let us see what are those values for which freedom struggle was fought. Why from 1757 to 1947 there are crores of people and families who laid down their lives, laid down everything to make this India at least free of the British. But we have done half of the job. The second half remains. That is, as Bhagat Singh says, freedom from poverty is still to be fought with. The third one is that giving a scientific culture of thinking. Well, now the whole thing is happening. And that there are a number of things, but the last one, which is very interesting, is, well, about sixth or seventh duty is to protect the forest, the water, the natural ways, and the environment. I say those who are protecting the environment, they are the patriots, they are the nationalists. And those who are destroying it, they are actually anti-nationals. Shri Ravi Shankar, what destruction he has done. It's not just laughing, it is a real destruction which he has done. And then he said, what I have done? I will say, I will tell you. Because I am from a agriculture university, I have taught every professor of the agriculture university computer, so I have learned their language also. So that is that if there is a flat place, and if you just make it, if the porosity is lost, then flood water will go with a higher speed. Why flood water comes with a higher speed from the mountains, but it is slowed down when this whole bed of water. And that is, I say, please in the UP, now understand he has cleared that there from Delhi, the floods will be more destructive than they were prior to it, because the whole land has been pressed down and it has been destroyed ecologically. So I think that is the question there. So there are a number of questions from fundamental duties which now we have to talk to them, that we stand for the fundamental duties, and in that way, well, we are really, we are virtually, you are, I have no many years left, but you have the whole future of this country in your hands. And if we don't continue with this debate, I think we will not be, we will be virtually not answering to the call which Bhagat Singh gave, that the day of liberation starts when young people fully devote themselves to the cause of humanity. It is not cause of India only or the poor, but it is the cause of humanity, because the whole process of the financial process, as Mr. Rajan is warning again and again, we are at the pre-depression state. And if, like they are talking about giving subsidy, who is getting subsidy? Not the banks. Because you are selling the public property to feed 1 crore 25 lakh to the banks. But you don't have the money to produce knowledgeable boys and girls. And then you say this is subsidy. I raised this question when NIT's fee was made 300 times. I said this is actually inviting the foreign universities, and mind it, Well, I have worked with the foreign university also. Our agriculture university was there. There was a special training program for our university than for their own training program. They will not give you that equal education. They will give it that which suits them. So let us not be when that one the foreign university will give, they will give the same certificate but not the same value. So let us understand that, and then they say that equal field is required. So that is why JNU, because here at least a son of a farmer, of a worker who makes a decision can come forward. And I am reminded of a similar movement in American history. You know that King Martin Luther, first movement prior to his civil rights was the movement of children's asking for equal education. That is, some 12 years boy went with him, and he said that later on Maryland University was under influence, and we converted Maryland University that any Afro-American student who wants to study can go up to any level of language, and he will. And now 60% of American universities are presided by the Maryland University. I think that's a phenomenon. So do we want equality in education first of all? And the last one which I say, well, I'm provoked because I just went into the whole gamut of which happened in Haryana. What is this reservation to anyone? You don't have the jobs. By reservation, you are deceiving the young people to fight with each other. And that is what the whole problem is. They don't create the problem, and that is where the demand is. And last thing is, you raised with the issue of UGC, and now they have diverted us to some other issues, but please don't forget that equal education and right of free education is still fundamental to be fought with, and that must be continued with that. So thank you very much. I think